Hello, Klein Graphic Design.
Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rotary Club of York, where our
Excuse
mission
me.
is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship.
No, we didn't talk balloon.
President Wilder-Ream. As you know, we start off our meetings by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, America the Beautiful, and the pledge will be led by Deb Harrison, followed by the invocation by President-elect nominee Kelly Gibson and visitor introductions by Becky Vanderberth.
Please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please prepare yourself for prayer in the manner to which you are accustomed. A quote from Proverbs in the Bible tells us, "By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches." For many in our community, housing is not within their reach. Our world religious texts show us that homelessness is an old problem and that it is the responsibility of the fortunate to help. In the Bible, Isaiah challenges us to exercise a true fast where we bring to your house the poor who are cast out. The commandment to care for the stranger is mentioned more times than any other commandment in the Torah, more even than the command to love God. Islam requires all Muslims to pay zakah, or a religious tax, to assist and feed the homeless and poor. Hindus are expected to give away the wealth they do not need. Distributing wealth means that a person is doing good karma and thereby securing a better next life. Today, as we hear from Jeremy Feekins on the Union Apartment Project, let us reflect on the ways we can help all our neighbors and friends find the safety and security of home. Let us also give thanks for the hands that made the meal we share today in fellowship. All this we pray. Amen.
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Wilda has welcomed you. Visiting Rotarians from the for the Hershey Rotary Club is past District Governor Paul Thompson. Guests of past President John Kleindienst are Sterling Dunlap, Angie Garrison, Jonathan Bowser, and Joel Folkmer. Nicole McCartan is guest of Natalie Dennis. Paula Vitz is guest of Julie Wheeler. Aubrey King is guest of Lisa Barshinger. The following are guests of Natalie Gunderson, Sarah Reinecker, Michelle Mummert, Jane Conover, and Larry Richardson. Amy Young, guest of Jan Wagner, Bernice Quessenberry, guest of Jane Schuessler, David Gonzalez, guest of President-elect Doug Berman, and Troy Miller, guest of Jim Anderson.
Visitors, we're so glad to have you here with us today, whether this is your first visit or you're back again, former Rotarians. It's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. If what you see here today resonates with you, we'd love to have you consider becoming part of our Rotary family. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. You may be seated. And now for some announcements. The club sends congratulations to not one, but two Rotarians who were recently married. First, congratulations to Pavle and his bride, Carolyn. And congratulations to Sarah and her new husband, Steve. Now on to the more routine announcements. The York Rotary Foundation Board of Directors will meet following this meeting at 1:30 in the terrace room. The Youth Exchange Committee will meet tomorrow, November 20th at noon on Teams. And the Membership Engagement Committee will meet on Friday, November 21st at 8 o'clock on Teams. The IDA Committee will meet on December 1st at 9 o'clock on Zoom. The Your Fund Development Committee meets on December 1st at 3:30 on Zoom. The Youth Leadership Committee will meet on December 2nd at 3 o'clock on Teams. And now I invite past President Courtney for a delicious update from membership engagement.
Thank you, President Wilda. So today, some of you may have enjoyed a delicious, juicy steak for lunch. Show of hands, who had a delicious? Yes, okay, great. Well, everybody else had to have yesterday's hamburger. So why the difference, you may ask? Well, the Membership Engagement Committee is thrilled to be celebrating our members who achieved perfect attendance during the 2024-2025 Rotary year. And we figured, what better way than to celebrate with some meat? So on the slides, you're going to see all of the names that we're going to be recognizing today for those who achieved perfect attendance. And this is not a small accomplishment. It comes with actively participating in our club activities throughout the year. So in case you're not sure how it works on getting perfect attendance, this is how it works. You can come to our meetings in person. You can also join this meeting via Zoom every single week. Additionally, we record this meeting every single week and we post it on YouTube. The link to watch it is sent out in the announcer every single week that Lynn sends out. So if you watch it on YouTube, just shoot her an email. Hey, I watched the 12/12 meeting or whatever it was that you watched, and you'll get attendance credit for that. Additionally, we give you credits for participating in any committee meeting. So as long as your committee is taking minutes saying that you were there and those are getting to Lynn, that is how you're getting credit for attending that committee meeting, as well as joining our board meetings, our fellowship events, or if you volunteer at Rotary gatherings. So all of those ways, you're able to get attendance credit towards getting a steak. So basically, anytime you are engaged with our club, or if you're traveling somewhere and you go to another Rotary Club's meeting and you let Lynn know, she will give you attendance credit so that you can get a steak next year. So now I would like to go through this next slide here, and we are going to recognize specifically anybody who has maintained perfect attendance for an incredible 15 to 25 years. So hold your attendance till the end, or applause till the end, please. Past President Josh George, District Governor nominee Aaron Jacobs, past President Al Sykes, past District Governor Ben Hoover, past President Rob Bowen, and past President Mike Summer. So round of applause, 15 to 25 years of perfect attendance. And now I would like to give a special congratulations to Jan Walgamuth, who has achieved 31 years. Jan, please stand in the back. Please stand, Jan. 31 years of perfect attendance at our club, Rotary Club of York. So membership engagement, it is at the heart of our club's strategic plan. So I encourage you all to stay involved in whatever format works for you. So if you can't attend in person, now you know that you can be attending in Zoom or watching the YouTube recording or attending a committee meeting or volunteering, so that next year you can all be having steak. So that concludes this portion of my announcement. I have two more things to tell you about. So I'm going to switch gears here. Additionally, from the Membership Engagement Committee, if you ordered some Rotary gear, some polos or your sweatshirts, t-shirts, you're able to pick those up after the December meetings. So the first two meetings in December, once you leave here, just grab it. We'll be having a table set up outside if you ordered anything Rotary gear related. And then my third announcement, which President Wilda does not know about, so I'm just going to take full advantage of being up here right now, is I'm going to be bringing up another special guest. I would like to bring up Lisa Barshiner to the podium. who is going to help me with a special announcement. Sorry, Wilda. Lisa.
Thank you, Courtney. Good afternoon, Rotarians. Today, I'm honored to share a little bit about the York Federal Fellows Program, what it is, how it started, and why it continues to make such a meaningful impact on our nonprofit community. The program started in 2006. Yes, almost 20 years ago, thanks to the vision, generosity, and commitment of Bob Pulo, who recognized something important, that in order for York County's nonprofit leaders to keep doing the vital work that they do, they not only need professional development, but the opportunity to invest in themselves as individuals. From that commitment, the York Federal Fellows Program was born. Each year, 3 fellows have traditionally been selected to participate in workshops, networking, and volunteer opportunities, and to receive a personal and professional development grant. This year, though, brings 2 very exciting updates. The grant has increased from $5,000 to $7,500 after 20 years. And thanks to the generous support of the York County Community Foundation, we're able to grow our fellowship from 3 fellows to 4 fellows. And in 2026, as I mentioned, we are proud to be celebrating the 20th anniversary. I ran a few numbers recently, and there's actually something really remarkable about this club and the York Federal Fellows Program. We have 76 fellows who have graduated from the program, and out of those 76, there are 20 members in this Rotary Club and 1 in the class of 2025, Amy Brillinger. So if you're an alum, I ask that you please stand, and let's take a moment to recognize you. And now for some very exciting news, which you can already see here on your screen. Our class of 2026 was publicly announced on Monday, and I'm thrilled to share it here today because all 4 fellows are also Rotarians, and 3 of them members of this very club. So please join me in congratulating the York Federal Fellows class of 2026, Ron Bunce, Children's Home of York, please stand. Avery Clark, Bell Socialization Services, she's in the Uptown Club. Terry Travers from York JCC, and your Rotary President, Wilda Ream. Congratulations to all of you. We can't wait to watch you learn, grow, and make an even greater impact on this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. I am excited to embark on this journey next year with fellow Rotarians. So it's always fun to see when life crosses paths in and out of the club with Leadership York, with everything that I do. So super exciting. And what a coincidence that all 4 fellows are Rotarians. So, and congratulations to my fellow federal fellows. Wow. And now we'll get back to business here, and I will invite past President John Kleindens to the podium to introduce our speaker for today.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Jeremy Feekins, a British-born entrepreneur. And I'm going to stop here because I don't know why that's in there. As soon as he opens his mouth, you're going to know he's British-born. So just to correct that, Jeremy. And a U.S. citizen, is a distinguished executive, investor, and innovator whose career bridges continents, industries, and missions of global importance. With a legacy built on visionary leadership, Jeremy has founded and led transformative ventures in affordable housing, renewable energy, and medical technology. At the heart of his work are 2 groundbreaking companies, Elevare and Ocean Thermal Energy Corporation. As founder and CEO of Elevare, Jeremy is spearheading a mission to reimagine community development in America's underserved regions. Elevare acquires and revitalizes underutilized properties in distressed neighborhoods, transforming them into affordable, high-quality housing and essential community spaces for working families by strategically leveraging public and private partnerships, including grants and low-interest, low-cost loans to strengthen its capital stock. Elevare enhances investor returns while delivering measurable social impact. Current projects in Lancaster, Carlisle, and York exemplify Jeremy's commitment to equitable growth, economic revitalization, and sustainable investor value. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Jeremy Feekins.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here with the Rotary Club of York, a group that's always focused on community service, leadership, and making a difference. I'm Jeremy Feekins, as you heard. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Elevare Corporation. And at Elevare, we're dedicated to revitalizing communities through affordable housing and accessible public spaces. I'd like to introduce my team who we're going to hear from during this short presentation. Vice President Paula Vitz, for here. Jonathan Bowser, President of Steelworks Construction, who many of you know already. Jonathan is our strategic finance and construction advisor. Angie Garrison, who's our, where's our, oh, you're there. I think we had a defector for a moment. And last but not least, Pastor Joel, without whom none of this would be possible in York. Union Apartments, which we're going to be talking about today, is a great example of teamwork. We are developing a plan to transform the historic Union Lutheran Church campus on West Market Street into a model for its inclusive growth. The church is being donated to Elevare, and that generous act of faith has set the stage for a redevelopment that benefits York's working families and strengthens your downtown. We're not just building apartments, we're creating opportunities, dignity, and long-term community stability. Paula Vitz will now discuss how this project directly meets York's needs and aligns perfectly with our mission. Paula.
Thank you, Jeremy. Union Apartments aim to support York's working families and Alice households. That's asset limited, income constrained, and employed. Individuals who
Applying
work
graphic
hard
design.
still find it tough to afford safe,
Yeah.
quality housing. Our goal is to offer housing that is affordable, modern, and connected to vital community services. This project directly aligns with the Penn Street Vision Plan, the York County Housing Needs Assessment, and the
Okay,
Downtown
okay.
Development Plan.
Thank you. Do
All of
you
which
have
emphasizes
time to
new
do any
mixed-use
more?
housing
I'm still
and
going
stronger
through
neighborhood
stuff.
infrastructure.
I don't have to.
But
Okay,
revitalization, it's a
All
community-driven
right,
effort.
that's great.
Not
Thank you
just
for doing it.
construction, but
Are they,
revitalization grounded in
pretty-
inclusion and
pretty
collaboration.
decent resolution or no?
Jonathan will explain what the project will look like and how it's being designed.
Well, yeah, so
Good afternoon. So Union Apartments will be developed
Yeah,
into
that had to be-
43
those were
residential
his,
units.
yes.
And this is all conceptual, by the way. But what we're looking at right now is 22 one-bedroom and 21
oh, good.
two-bedroom
And did you
units
you probably
that can
pushed
flexibly
it to make the
flexibly be
grayscale look as
converted
nice
over
as it
to
could, I'm
three
sure.
bedrooms
Yeah,
once we finish out
okay.
our feasibility study.
I don't have a problem with them
Right
being
now,
tinted, but if I want
Concept
them
Plans
tinted,
has the
I'd like
buildings
you to do it.
the building being about a three-story building with a full basement and 32 on-site parking spaces,
Well, I
along
think,
with
is he
nearby
trying to make them,
off-street
in the day,
parking
didn't
options,
people
working with the City
literally
Redevelopment Authority.
paint them with stuff?
Within the
We
building,
have
we're
this-
also looking at including a community kitchen and space for residents to gather, share meals, and then also host events. As part of our partnership with
Yeah.
the Union Lutheran Church, we
Yeah,
will be also
yeah.
providing about 9,000 square feet
Yeah,
of basement space that will serve as a community hub, offered rent-free for nonprofits like the Well Food Pantry, the Black Swan Ballet, Narcotics Anonymous groups, and Weary Arts Group, organizations that have already been serving York's most vulnerable population. On the ground floor, we have allocated approximately about 3,000 square feet of commercial space. I will say that we do have an LOI with a community organization that offers healthcare services to the uninsured and underinsured. So we're looking to move forward with that, and we think that they would be a great partner for what we're looking to do here. This mixed use, mission-driven redevelopment where housing and health come together in one community. Next, we'll transition to the concept plan. So what you'll see off to your left on the ground floor is the commercial space, the parking that we're proposing, and then also units that will be designed for accessibility and safety as well. The second and third floors offer efficient layouts of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, maximizing light and open space. And just to reiterate, these are all concept plans. We still have to go before the hard board. We still have to go before zoning and hearing. We still have to also get final land development, preliminary and final land development plans approved, and then ultimately a permit to be able to begin construction. But again, one of the things that we're really excited about with this project is bringing something that we think that will fit well into the area. The architectural that you've seen on previous slides, I think will continue to fit that neighborhood. And one of the most things that we're really pleased about is the ability to keep a lot of the services that the church already offers in the downtown York area. So now we'll transition back to Paula, who then will introduce how we're going to make this possible.
We're proud to have a community widespread support from organizations such as WellSpan Health, United Way of York County, Life Path Christian Ministries, Catalasso Family Health Center, the York County Economic Alliance, and the Housing Authority. These partners contribute resources, credibility, and shared mission alignment. Together, we're creating not just housing, but a healthy, resilient community network that tackles food access, healthcare, and family stability. Jonathan will now explain how we're funding the project responsibly and sustainably.
So attached, you'll see our financial summary, which is just a recap of our capital stack for the project. In totality, we're looking at about a $15.2 million project, about 13.3 in construction costs, about another 1.2 million in soft costs. And we just assessed the land value at $700,000, even though it's being donated by the church. On the sources side, we're looking at a construction private loan of about 4.3 million. About 2.8 million is what we're looking to pull in as far as community grants. About 4.1 in private equity. Elevare has partnered with a global investment banker, U.S. Capital Group, out of California. So we are currently in the process now of a $50 million raise, of which we are looking to allocate about 4 million of that to this project. We're also looking at bringing in some RCAP funds to the tune of about 2 million. So we've made those applications. And then just this week as well, we've also finalized our applications for the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency and one of their programs called FAIR. And then also the county does have a demolition program that we plan on making applications to as well in the very near future. So with that said, we'll now transition to Angie, who will demonstrate how Union Apartments supports the broader strategies of the city and also the county.
Good afternoon. Union Apartment didn't just come out of nowhere. It's closely aligned with York's key community plans, such as the Penn Street Vision Plan that aims to improve walkability, safety, and encourage mixed-use development. And that's exactly what this project provides. The York County Housing Analysis of 2023 emphasizes the urgent need for multi-unit housing and points out the cost-burdened families, especially working families and seniors. They are our top priority. Meanwhile, the Downtown Development Plan of 2021 labels this corridor as a crucial area for revitalization. In essence, Union Apartments is a flagship project that meets all the criteria for inclusive growth and housing stability and economic revitalization. It is ideal to fit York's next chapter. Jeremy will now share an example of how this same model is already working just down the road.
Well, as we say in America, this is not our first rodeo. To demonstrate how this model works, here's our current project in Lancaster. Those of you who are familiar with Lancaster may remember the old Lancaster Redmond store that sold holiday and variety products over the years. I actually purchased that building back in 2006. The top image shows what it was like before, a disused, underutilized building. And below is the after on the left-hand side there, which is going to open late spring, early summer of 2026. This is a project for working families. It's complete with a 7,000 square foot grocery store for which we already have a tenant, Penn Street Market, which offers healthy food options, including takeout. It's set to open, as I say, in late spring, early summer, and serves as proof that public-private partnerships like this can transform entire neighborhoods. That's the very basis of our business model. Now we're applying that model to York, building on local history to create future opportunities. Let's wrap up by discussing how Rotary and others in this room can be a part of this transformation. At Elevare, our guiding principle is simple. Affordable housing with community services creates lasting value for both residents and investors. We believe in building not just homes, but homes for hope, and in doing so, strengthening the very fabric of York. I'm going to ask Angie just to say a few words before we close.
We invite you as community leaders, business owners, and advocates to partner with us, whether through collaboration, introductions, or advocacy. Every contribution helps move this vision forward. Together, we can make West Market Street a symbol of York's resilience and renewal.
I'd like to say just one more thing. I was brought up in public housing for the first 15 years of my life before I joined the British Royal Navy. If you want to know about living in public housing, I can give you lots of different examples of that. But for now, on behalf of our entire team, thank you very much for your time, your leadership, and your service to the city. At Elevare, we just don't build housing, we build communities. Thank you.
And if you have any questions, we can answer any questions. We do have Pastor Joel with us, so if you have questions about the current church and where he's going to be moving to, you can ask questions to Pastor Joel as well.
Thank you. I have a question over here. I was looking at the images from Lancaster, and the building project looks like it's on a rather unremarkable lot with parking lot and an old building. The Union Lutheran Church is a very prominent mark for York City in terms of architecture and history. And I'm a little dismayed, and I think others may be, to see something so with a prominent architect from York County being torn down for this. And I don't question the value of the project, but there are so many other blighted properties in the city. Why is this being targeted?
Surprisingly, that's not the first time we've been asked that question. But no, I appreciate it. And it is a reality that it's a building that a lot of people know, drive by, see it from some distances away. But it's also a building that needs a whole lot of work. That is my whole time, the last 11 years of being there, leaks like a sieve, plaster falling, trying to patch and repair everything. Where we spend tens of thousands of dollars just to try to patch stuff. And the reality is, as we look at the needs of our community and the resources around us, it is not the only Demp Wolf building in the city. There really hasn't been anything all that significant. I mean, someone could argue that about this building. And it's also the second building this congregation had as a worship space. They tore down their first building in the 1920s to build this one. In the 1850s, they had their first building that didn't serve their needs anymore. It didn't fit what their mission was, and they tore it down to put what is currently there today. That is where we are again. We are in a place where, as a congregation, we don't want to spend 6, 7, that just said that in case anybody has kids or teenagers. Yeah, 6, 7 million dollars to patch things and try to make things, livable. Because that money really could be used in many more important ways, and we don't have it as a congregation. As we continue to grow as a congregation from people in and around our building, those people are not probably sitting in this room. Those people we are now counting pocket change again in the offering because, bless them, they throw their spare change in the offering plate. We rely much on money that the congregation has had and continues to invest, that we can continue to move forward in the ministries that we do. You can see a few of them that were presented in the presentation, in ways in which we tried to do our best to use the building that we have. But the reality is it's not accessible. There's stairs everywhere. The rooms are not laid out in a great way. And the money's really not there. As we've explored for almost every year that I've been there, options to how could this building be renovated, changed. I've talked with probably a few of you I know about other options in the past. Other organizations are trying to partner and find ways that this building can serve the community in different ways as the realities of just an aging facility that they are. So I really appreciate the architecture. I really appreciate the stained glass windows. I appreciate the history that people have with the building. And that is something we'll want to celebrate and something we'll want to make sure that we, make sure we have nice pictures and everything else, and that it's all kind of there for people to see and to understand. If we can save some elements, try to save them. But as an organization, as a congregation that truly believes our mission is to love God and love our neighbor, this, to us, is the best option we have seen in my 11 years as the pastor of this church. Because otherwise, it's just going to be one more blighted, falling apart, building in our city, which we, as you said, don't need any more of. And that's just, unfortunately, part of the reality with the building of this age and built at that time period. That they are not holding up as well as we might want. I know a number of us are in our nonprofits are in some of these buildings as well that are not holding up and trying to figure out where our next buildings or just got to open their new building or whatever it may be. So I hear it and I get it. And as I always tell people, I have a love-hate relationship with our building. But
thank you very much
that
for
helps,
that. For that excellent explanation. Not knowing where you are in the planning of the project, I have a couple of financially oriented questions. Do you have 3 to 5 year projections financially showing what the cash flow of the project will be? And then secondly, how much of this will be financed by grants and how much by long-term debt, if you have any of that? And then as you look at this and analyze the financial dynamics, what will be the approximate rents of the 1 and 2 bedroom apartments?
Sure. All really good questions. I'll start off with the first question you asked, and if I forget one, please remind me. But as far as a performer, yes, we do have a performer that is based on looking at the majority of the units being about 80% of the average median income, or AMI. And that's why we rely a lot on, a lot of community support. And that's why we're also relying on PFHA and then also the state through their RACP program. One of the things that we've tried to do at Elevare is we try to do almost like a 60-40 kind of split as far as if we could bring 40% of subsidy into the project to help subsidize the housing for those that need it most. So to answer your question, first question, yes, we do have a 10-year model that models it out, and we have to do so for our investors. As far as I think the next question was capital stack as far as grants. So the screen that Angie has up here, I mean, we're looking at about 2.8 million in what we're calling kind of community local grants, and that could be through foundations, that could be through philanthropic dollars, that could also be through low interest loans through Penvest and other sources that we're aware of. And then also we have, again, the state RACP grant and then the housing money as well. So that kind of rounds out our capital stack. And then we're looking at long-term financing of about 4.3 million, which typically what we would do is a construction loan for the duration of the construction. So just say for about a 2 to 3 year period, which will allow us to also stabilize the property. And then we could look at doing like a long-term takeout through HUD, which then would give us a 30 to 40 year amortization, which then again helps to enhance the cash flow to make it a sustainable project. I don't want to misquote, and we can always get back to you on that. But what we typically have to do is we have to follow what York County's average median income is. So for each county throughout the Commonwealth, there's a report that goes out that is updated annually, which shows what the average median income is for that particular county. And then based on that, it's real easy math of if we're looking at 80% of that. So just to give an example, if a household of 4, the average median income is $60,000, then our rent can only be based on the 80% of what they would consider as affordable. And so you just back into it that way. And then you have to report out on that on an annual basis. And then you go through your audit process as well to make sure that you're compliant. Thanks. But yeah, it is all information that's available online, and we just have to follow those guidelines.
Thank you all so much for this information on this innovative project. Pastor Joel, where does the parishioners' worship space go?
So, yeah, that's the one thing I would suggest putting into the presentation. The large community room, the bottom floor, will be our kind of multi-purpose room. We will have control of that space like we do now when it comes to, the nonprofits, the different agencies, the groups that are in there. The Well Food Pantry, like now, will have their own entrance and their ability to do what they need to do. During construction and things like that, we now also have a property at 700 East Market Street. And so as we're kind of leaning into there and growing into that building as well, that's where most likely, even after the building project's done, that's where our main offices would then be. It's a larger space over there. So this would be more of kind of our campus or outpost, or however you want to talk about that, but that we would be able to still do things like our breakfasts, our community events, lots of things that we love to do in that neighborhood. And that's really the major reason why we haven't wanted to just try to sell the building and leave, is because we truly feel called to that neighborhood. We feel that we've built good relationships, that we've been able to build trust into that neighborhood, and that we've become a safe place for many people. And so we want to continue to have that presence there to the best of our ability. Yep.
I would just say, I think the strategic alignment and the community services you're proposing to provide you're right on target. I would join the group, though, in being maybe a little dismayed at total demolition of the church. And my question is, have you explored maybe preserving just the front portion on Market Street, and demolishing? I'm sure you have. That's why I'm asking it. Preserving part of it, the bell tower and the main facade, demolishing the rest of the project and building something very similar or to what you're proposing?
So yes, we did. We've had an architectural firm take a look at trying to do what would you consider like a partial demolition of the building to see if we can keep certain elements of it. Kind of two things from a site feasibility perspective just didn't work. We are already underparked. So one of the first things that we'll have to do is go get a variance from the city of York for parking. Also, we ran into some setback issues as far as meeting the city of York's current zoning ordinance, as far as having buildings closer to the street. So currently the church is grandfathered in, but under new construction would not be. And then outside of the parking and the setbacks is just the financial reality of looking at, a partial demo where the financial feasibility of it just didn't work. And so we ran into a lot of those issues. But one of the things that we have talked about, and I think Pastor Joel kind of touched on it a little bit, is, and you can't really see it too clear in the current renderings, but as we fine tune it, we look to do that a little bit more, is see if we can take elements from the existing building and bring it into the new building as far as construction. So using similar materials that we see there now and using that in. A lot of people are they really like that tower right there. Unfortunately, that is going to have to come down, but there's also going to be 2 stair towers in the new building. So seeing if, to a certain extent, that's cost effective, if we can replicate a little bit of that, to still give it that same feel. It won't be the same, but can we get pretty close? And so as we get further and further into the design of the building, is where we want to try to bring a lot of that back to life as much as possible. Sure.
Yeah. So unfortunately, of the 2 kind of buildings we have there, we're in L shape there on that corner. The main worship building is the one with the majority of the issues. It is the one that we are struggling with concrete and other pieces of that tower that are crumbling or falling apart or will be very soon. And to repair even just one of the little decorations, like one of those little crosses you can see up there towards the roof, I believe in 2018, they quoted us $70,000 just to fix a little bit of that, because they'd have to shut down Market Street and bring in a crane, and it's just concrete around rebar. I don't know the official term for that, but they're molds in a sense. And as we had a building audit done in 2018 by Murata Main architects out of Lancaster, who's Don Main, his father was a Lutheran bishop, so he's done a lot of work with churches and other places. As they came and looked at the space, they are the ones that gave us some of the prices of what it would cost to actually fix the place and then to actually make it more accessible and usable. And that's where we began to see that most of the issues were in this stone building, that it wasn't the best stone that was used. It wasn't the best way of doing some of these molds. They're not carvings. It's just molds that are, again, I don't know the specific term for that, but, they're molds, in there. Some of the secrets I'll share. Inside the church, it's, like a lot of places, it's all plaster. And what looks like wood carvings up along the top and some other places, again, are just plaster molds that are painted brown. As they looked at the building and looked at these things, the church built it for what they needed at that time. And they also weren't extremely wealthy. And so they built it with what they had. And so I think what we're seeing is a facility that didn't have maybe the best of the best materials, and it's getting close to 100 years old now, and it's showing its age. The slate roof is another issue that we find it harder and harder to find anybody who's willing to go up there. And now we're at the point where the insurance is telling us they're not going to insure it. And so we're just running into things where I don't know who if any of you have put a slate roof that size on a building, but I can't imagine what that might cost in today's, dollars. So hopefully that I just went rambling. I apologize, but that's what I get paid to do. So hopefully I answered a question along those lines. But yes, in terms of the tower, I get it. Like I said, it's really cool, but a lot of it's failing, and well, and nothing in there is ADA accessible. Yeah. And just, yes, we have tried over the years to figure this place out. We've brought in, well, I was going to say the joke again, but many engineers and different groups to try to make it accessible. And just to get people from our kind of, I call it the breezeway, the kind of little knuckle between the two buildings up into the sanctuary space, which is all a 6 feet difference, was going to cost us in 2018, $500,000. Because there's no way to put a lift in there. They'd have to knock out walls and move doorways and do all this other stuff. And then they'd have to knock out more of the other building, and we'd lose more parking as it went out because the ramp has to go, you know, as far out as it needs to go. And it was just, to do anything in this place is difficult. We tried to put a restroom facility on the sanctuary floor, but because they don't know where the plumbing is in the parking lot, they'd have to rip all that up just to find it. And then there is no plumbing at the front of the building. And so to put in just a single restroom, nothing fancy, was going to be $150,000, because they'd have to put the piping through the stones, bury it, run it to the back of the church, and then put it back in through the couple feet of stone into one of the existing toilets on our basement floor. So, you know, as we've explored and tried to do a lot of projects with this facility to make it workable, you know, it just becomes more and more clear that this is something that really is not obtainable for us, especially. Sorry.
No worries. Follow-up question. It might be a two-part question. So with a project like this, understanding, you know, the barriers of home ownership, does this project look to serve as long-term housing for folks, or is kind of that intermediary as a step to be able to then get to home ownership? Also, will there be sort of financial resources and information available to people that have not had access to, you know, home ownership in that sort?
Just to clarify your question, are you with home ownership, this is not a shelter project? I just want to make sure, because we've been approached with that. This is not a shelter facility. It would be a regular apartment building. And what anyone would decide from then to be able to move into home ownership, they would have that ability, but that would be their.
No, I hear what you're saying exactly. It's not transitional housing. I mean, I know there's some conversations around different things that maybe part of it could be used by an organization that wants to provide their clients transitional housing. And then there'd be some sort of deal, of course, you know, with them to rent out those apartments and make it that. You know, it's kind of like the Y MCA has their men's residence that they can stay as long as they want to be there. There's people who've been there for decades. And so, yeah, this is available, you know, as you mentioned, whenever they do analysis of the city of York and much of York County, housing is always the number one need. So this is just one example of what I believe we're going to need a lot more obtainable housing for people. But no, it's not set up to be like transitional housing. And part of having the nonprofits and the church on the bottom floor will also help connect people with resources, as we already do, if people come and, you know, are searching for those things.
Thank you. One of the clarifying questions I had was, you said there was a priority toward older adults. Does that mean a specific number of units will be reserved for older adults, or kind of first come, first serve?
We're in talks with different senior facilities that have an affordable housing senior need, that there's waiting lists. So we don't know what that looks like right now, but we will be having those conversations. But right now, we don't have any percentages.
Maybe a question for Jeremy, just because I like your accent and I like listening to you. I'm just curious, does this organization, Elevare, have any other projects in the works? You mentioned the project in Lancaster that's already undergone in process, but are there other things planned throughout the region?
Yes. The $50 million that our investment banker is putting together for us, I mean, that's really just started. But we have 4.4 acres under contract in Carlisle, which we're going to put between 90 and 95 apartments in there, as well as some medical offices specifically focused towards medical counseling for teens and young adults. We've got in our long-term model, we want to do another 7 projects before within the next decade. And then between now and then, we'll see how things are going. We know there's a huge demand. Even in Pennsylvania, we need 7,000 more apartments for working families, for all the industries that are coming in, data centers, Microsoft with 3 Mile Island, and Amazon, FedEx, all these expanding businesses that are going to need people. And the one thing I hear time and time again is that there just isn't enough living accommodation at the right price for these people to be able to afford. It's even worse in Lancaster, by the way, but we won't talk about that today. But yes, we certainly want to be doing more and more projects, and that's the whole reason for the $50 million that we are currently raising. Thank you.
If you said it, I missed it, but I realize this is still in the very early stages. But do you have a estimated time frame from beginning to end?
Sure. So I think starting next month, we'll be going to the city and also HARB for variances that are needed, and then also to have an early conversation with the HARB board about some of the concerns that were brought up here today. Moving forward, we do plan on, assuming that we're able to get the variances and move forward with HARB, then we'll be making submissions to the Planning Commission for preliminary and final land development, and then ultimately final approval, and then on to construction set of plans. So ideally, I think starting from December until about midsummer 2026 is what we have as kind of our planning approval stage, with hopefully being able to start construction fall of 2026.
All right, thank you very much, Jeremy and team. It's such looks like a very impactful project that is well needed in our community. And again, it's not just about buildings, but a real investment in people, addressing housing needs, strengthening services, and bringing new life to a part of our city. So we appreciate your commitment to the thoughtful long-term revitalization in York, and grateful for the time that you took to be with us today. So as you know, our speaker has signed a book to be donated to the York YMCA Early Childhood Education Program, along with a bookmark made by students at Creative York. It's Harold and the Purple Crayon, and I still have not read it. So judge me someday. And just a reminder, we will not meet next week. So if you show up next week, you can eat lunch by yourself. But we'll see you again on December 3rd, where we will hear from City of York Mayor Michael Helfrich. He will speak on the last 8 years of successes and address the top outstanding challenges that remain for York City. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you.